Picture this: a movie based on your favorite book, one that's supposed to be a can't-miss masterpiece, rapidly spirals into full-blown courtroom drama faster than you can say Oscar buzz. And honey, today's headline stealer is none other than Blake Lively, who could be facing a 5-year prison sentence. 'Cause when a lawsuit just isn't enough to stir things up, why not throw in some potential jail time for good measure? Grab your popcorn, preferably the fancy, hand-popped kind from someone with a serious title, because this mess is more twisted than the very movie they're forgetting they even wanted to make. Let's rewind way back like ancient history. Remember when fans went wild with excitement when they heard It Ends With Us, the best-selling book that had everyone sobbing, was getting a movie? First, it seemed like a match made in Hollywood heaven. Justin Baldoni, the guy known for turning stories into pure emotional gold, was set to direct. Blake Lively, the queen of sharp wit and depth, was cast as the lead. Felt like everything was perfectly aligned. Fans, media, even the universe thought we were about to witness something legendary. The cast was perfect, the director was passionate, and everything screamed, "This is going to be iconic." But as with all things in Hollywood, once the camera started rolling, bam! Drama. Word on the street was that Lively wanted to sprinkle her signature humor into the script, but Baldoni wasn't having it. He wanted to preserve the gut-wrenching, tear-jerking tone that made the book a hit. Who needs emotional depth when you've got punchlines and couture, right? Oh, and the wardrobe drama? Don't even get me started. But for now, picture it: fans, primed for a movie masterpiece, left stunned as things went south. As their beloved adaptation turned into a behind-the-scenes battleground, We've come across evidence that shows that even her own representatives knew that she was threatening and mean and tough, and wanted to get her way. This is not something that we wanted out there. It's not something that Justin wanted out there. In fact, it hurts the movie. It doesn't help the movie. My favorite part of what I've read of this suit so far is that Blake Lively did not even read the book that the movie was based on. We're not talking War and Peace. This is a book that's probably written at a second-grade reading level. Yeah. Let's keep it real, fam. If you're adapting a novel that's all about raw emotion and personal growth, maybe tone down the comedic glitter bomb. That's exactly what Baldoni tried to say. Allegedly, meanwhile, Lively's crew was all about sprinkling in some sassy humor and flashing those luxurious visuals. 'Cause why not make heartache look fabulous, right? I mean, who needs deep, soul-shaking trauma when you can wrap it in hot couture? By the time the first behind-the-scenes shots dropped, fans were like, hold up, wasn't this supposed to be the kind of story that makes you ugly cry, not laugh? The images more like a rom-com than the emotional roller coaster we were promised, and naturally, the internet lost its mind along with Lively and Baldoni, but they kept it real. Behind closed doors, word is Baldoni told her, cut the comedy or you'll drown the book's soul in punchlines and Prada. But Lively, in true diva fashion, was like, honey, modern audiences need a little comedic relief, because who doesn't think that heartbreak hits best when you've got a snarky one-liner on standby? At first, it was all just creative differences, right? Classic Hollywood drama, nothing out of the ordinary. But then, oh baby, this little spat turned into a full-blown legal catastrophe. Lively reportedly said she was being pushed to the side, and Baldoni, oh, he had the receipts ready. Apparently. Now hold on to your seat, 'cause here comes the real showstopper. Baldoni, in a move so Hollywood, slapped Lively with a $400 million defamation lawsuit. Yes, you read that correctly, $400 million, because darling, if you're going to wage war in Tinseltown, a measly few million just won't cut it. You got to go for a number so big it sounds like it's meant for a military budget. Why is he doing this? He says Lively publicly painted him as a tyrant who shut her out of big decisions and insists that behind the scenes she was all about pushing for those comedic rewrites, maybe even demanding them. So was she truly just a star sidelined, or was she the comedy mastermind pulling the strings the whole time? Well, that depends on whose side of the story you're listening to. In any other city, this would be your typical he said, she said situation, but honey, this is Hollywood, so naturally we're going to add a couple of zeros to the lawsuit and make sure every gossip mag gets in on the juicy updates, because if you're going to have your rep dragged through the mud, you might as well make it a full-on high-stakes drama. Are you going to sue Blake Lively into oblivion, Megyn? And and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also, and some as a surprise. Ryan Reynolds for sure. Oh wow, just when you thought the drama couldn't get any juicier, here comes a rumor that might just blow the lid off this whole saga. Word on the street is that Blake Lively might have misrepresented or even fabricated evidence, and baby, that could flip the script in a major way. Some hush-hush insiders are whispering about text messages, meeting transcripts, and maybe even some shady videos that directly contradict what Lively's been saying about how much comedic fluff she really backed. Now, we all know typical Hollywood lawsuits are about money, fame, and those all-important bragging rights. But throw in the possibility of prison time and suddenly it's like the plot of a thriller. Could Blake Lively, the queen of SAS and impeccable style, actually be facing up to 5 years in prison for perjury or something close to it in Tinseltown, where Ndaw's script leaks and hush-tush settlements are basically a hobby? Some are calling this whole Blake might go to jail talk a straight-up scare tactic. Settle up, or we might have to hand these receipts to the cops, they're saying, as if throwing out the possibility of prison isn't enough to get anyone sweating. This isn't just losing a role or paying a fine, this is jail time, honey. And still the rumor mill just won't stop spinning. Every time you blink, another secret piece of evidence leaks faster than a Kardashian dropping a new season. You start to wonder if these leaks are just pressure tactics designed to corner Lively, because let's face it, nothing says I'm serious like threatening someone with an orange jumpsuit. But hold up, we're not done yet. There's also this little mess about Lively's sudden 180 when it comes to tiling early script notes, and some spicy gossip say she was all about bringing that fashion flair to it. Ends with us think designer gowns, killer shoes, and camera angles that made every piece of couture pop. But when fans and critics started side-eyeing her looks for stomping all over the book's raw emotional vibe, Lively went into full backpedal mode fast. That's when the drama really hit. According to Balden's camp, they say Lively was front and center, picking out those comedic beats and bold outfits, only to later claim she was forced into it. So was Lively truly overwhelmed by the comedy and couture, or was she the mastermind behind it all? Hollywood's divided. Some say she was just going with the flow at first and then realized things were getting out of hand. Others argue that as soon as the negative press hit, she switched up quicker than you can say Louis Vuitton. Either way, one thing's clear, this whole mess is peak Hollywood. A story about deep emotional scars is getting completely overshadowed by debates about comedic timing and Gucci belts. Honestly, that isn't the epitome of town madness. I don't know what is. I'm a man, and this is a story that is told through the lens of a woman, and especially when it relates to intimacy scenes, and to scenes where there is a mix of intimacy and violence. I wanted to make sure that those scenes had a female gaze as much as I can try to see the world as a woman I never will be able to. And what's a Hollywood scandal without pulling in another A-lister? Enter Ryan Reynolds, the rumored comedic genius. Behind some lines and cameo ideas, I mean. When you're married to Deadpool himself, why wouldn't you lean into that comedic magic, especially if you're trying to keep the audience from sobbing their eyes out? But once the fans of the novel started side-eyeing the comedic vibe, guess what? Those cameo rumors poof gone. Suddenly it was all about pretending Ryan Reynolds was never even in the picture, or that Lively was just not on board with his comedic influence. Some insiders say she tried to pull a Houdini and distance herself from any and all funny business, but come on sis, in the age of social media those private suggestions can pop up as Exhibit A, B, or CC in a lawsuit faster than you can say public relations nightmare. Of course, none of this is officially confirmed, but we love a juicy rumor, don't we? Maybe Reynolds was never involved, maybe he was. But here's the real kicker: the whole cameo talk is like the classic Hollywood chain reaction. 1 minute everyone's brainstorming ways to sprinkle a little fun into a heavy story, the next the public hates it, and suddenly the stars are all like, what us? We had nothing to do with that. So what does the star do? Backtrack, of course, deny, or risk being painted as the comedic villain who ruined a beloved novel. Meanwhile, Baldwin is sitting there with actual receipts, and guess who's left rambling? Yep, you guessed it. Now let's get to the real drama: talk of perjury. Normally, defamation lawsuits are all about bruised egos and fat checks changing hands, but criminal charges, that's a whole other beast. For Lively to end up behind bars, there need to be solid, undeniable proof that she straight lied under oath or falsified something important, but just the rumor of that is enough to send tabloids into a frenzy. Fans are sitting their jaws dropped. Blake Lively prison, is this real life? Except honey, it's not completely a joke, especially if more and more evidence keeps popping up that could contradict her statements. Legal experts are chiming in, and they're saying that in some places perjury can land you a sentence of up to 5 years. Now, is that the maximum sentence or the actual one she could face? Who knows, but that hasn't topped the headlines from screaming 5 years at us from every corner of the internet. Some folks think Baldwin's team is just hyping this up to gain leverage. Others are convinced Lively might have told a few more fibs than she should have, and now she's in the hot seat. Either way, Blake Lively might go to prison. Is such a mouth-watering scandal that it's stealing the show and overshadowing the whole movie. But the real heartbreak, the fans who just wanted to see it, ends with us on the big screen. No side order of courtroom drama or legal chaos, and yet here we are. What I make of that is that if your wife is sexually harassed, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue and you follow a legal process. What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke. So, where does this leave the adaptation the whole world was dying to see? Well, stuck in Hollywood limbo. Naturally, investors aren't exactly jumping to toss more cash into a project that's now surrounded by talk of jail time and courtroom drama. Marketing teams can't exactly roll out a killer promo campaign when they're busy batting away questions about perjury and those oh-so controversial comedic rewrites. Baloney claims he still wants to stay true to the book's emotional depth, but at this point people are more hooked on the real-life soap opera than they Or on the actual movie one day, the rumor mills whispering that behind the scenes settlement talks are happening, with both sides scrambling to avoid open court drama. The next day, new rumors pop, saying Lively's legal team has some serious counterarguments ready to go. Meanwhile, fans on social media are tracking every little bit of gossip in progress, torn between wanting a faithful adaptation and secretly living for the spectacle of this meltdown. But let's not forget the poor book caught in the middle of this circus. It ends with us is supposed to be a powerful story about personal growth and healing, but if you only follow the headlines, you'd think the real question is whether Lively's comedic onliners or high fashion outfits ruined the book's emotional soul. So at this point, the big question is, can this film even be saved, or is it doomed to be remembered as that movie, the one with the outrageous lawsuit and the potential prison time? And of course, we're left with that classic Hollywood question that sums up the whole mess: how did a deeply emotional story about healing turn into a circus of lawsuits, multi-million-dollar defamation claims, and felony charges only Tinseltown knows? And it's not exactly sending out an invitation for explanations. Will Blake Lively actually see the inside of courtroom or gulp a prison cell? Will Baldoni cash in on that monster $400 million defamation check, or is this all just one big power play to get someone to blink first? Maybe they'll settle, quietly wrap up the film and drop it with the tagline inspired by the novel, and the most chaotic behind-the scenes drama you've ever seen, because in Hollywood it is often wilder than the fiction it's supposed to be selling. This meso, it's not going to fade quietly. In the coming weeks or months, expect leaked transcripts, cryptic Instagram posts, and half-hearted apologies that manage to say absolutely nothing. One thing's for sure, though, we're all going to be glued to the gossip, obsessed with a debacle that no screenwriter could have dreamt up. Meanwhile, it ends with us sits collecting dust on some studio. In the end, maybe we'll finally get the adaptation we deserve, or maybe we'll just get a cautionary tale about how Hollywood can take a beloved, heartfelt story and turn it into a comedic tragedy of epic proportions. Either way, Hollywood will keep spinning its drama, because let's be real, that's what it does best. So stay tuned, because if you thought 5 years in prison sounded wild, just wait until the next plot twist. In Tinseltown, there's always room for one more dramatic turn, and you best believe it usually shows up in designer heels in the city of angels. Even your biggest dreams can spiral into a nightmare of lawsuits, felonies, front page gossip, and a cast that just keeps getting starer. And honestly, isn't that exactly why we just can't look away? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video. Bye.